Thank you. Louise, I'm surprised you didn't have to campaign for naps or anything like that. But first off, I want to say this is incredibly just humbling and mind-blowing the progress that the program has taken since at least I've been here, and since Mike did I did my undergrad here, Mike did his graduate degree here. So they didn't even have a finance club when I started. I think it started when I was I believe a junior, or probably first semester junior, and we basically, there was 10 of us, and we'd get together and we'd have orange juice and bagels. I can't even remember what we talked about because we weren't broadcasting across the different campuses and YouTube stars and having writing opportunities or anything like that. I do pay attention to the Facebook posts that go on, and it's fantastic the way that the program has progressed. And consider yourself very lucky to be a Penn State Behrend grad, because it'll take you far. I know a lot of people like to push the main campus, but no, it's an outstanding experience no matter what part of Penn State you're with. So it's a pleasure, and it's very humbling for me to actually have somebody that wants to sit and listen to me babble other than my wife. And she's heard about every story I have, so it's nice to have you like this. First things first, I wanted to basically say, look, we want to keep this light. We can sit up here and ramble on for an hour and a half, 2, 3, get you out of here by 10. But we don't think that that's going to be the most beneficial to you. So what's going to be beneficial in the way we've structured it is more like a guided discussion. So we'll go around the room. It looks like we have a small enough group where we at least get some introductions, talk about, keep it interactive. What do you want? Why are you here? And what do you want to get out of today? And that's basically what we're here for. We'll tell you a little bit about commercial banking. I'll tell you about what I do as a commercial relationship manager. Mike will tell you about what he does and what the bank is, where we work, where we are, and where we're going. And then the last piece is just talk to you about what we've learned along the way. I don't feel old, but coming out here, I started thinking it's been 7 years since I've been back on campus. I took a bit of a non-traditional route to get where I am now, a little different from Mike, but I'm coming back. I'm a little grayer, I have a little less hair, but it's still good. So without further ado, we'll go over a brief introduction for myself and tell you a little bit about what I've done, what I did, and then Mike can tell you a little bit about himself, what he does, and then we'll go on to the bank, and then the rest of the stuff. So, how do we change this? There we go. All right, so I'm Brandon. I'm a commercial relationship manager at First Niagara Bank. I'll back it up and kind of give you from beginning to end. I'm from Erie. I was born and raised. Besides that, I graduated from McDowell High School, and after graduation, I decided I wasn't ready to attend college, and I needed some extra cash to get through college as well. So I had the bright idea. What am I going to do? Well, I said, I'm going to join the Marine Corps. So I go to the recruiter. I said, this is a great opportunity. This is what I'm going to do. And I said, well, I want to join the Marine Corps, but I want to be safe. So I want to be a tanker. I said, what better place to be than in a tank? So I go to the recruiter. I said, I want to be a tanker. He goes, all right, go up and get your physical. I took my physical. Long story short, I'm colorblind. Can't be a tanker. And I realistically, it basically disqualified me for 90% of the MRs. So I ended up in the infantry. So I did that. I got to see the world. It was a great experience, but I had somebody, a Vietnam vet, tell me it was $1 million experience, but you wouldn't pay $1 for it. So I got to see the good places on Earth, and I got to see the not so nice places on Earth. But it was a good experience. From there, I started. I got out. I used my GI Bill and went to Edinburgh, and I spent about 3 semesters there. Realized that wasn't the right program for me. Did some research and ended up here at Penn State Behrend Finance program. From there, I got out and I got a job at the Joseph Group Capital Management. Right? So your dad helped me get the job, and that worked out for about 8 months. And then I had a family emergency. I'm an only child, and my father passed away. So I had to make bad situation, I had to come back. So I came back and I joined a certified public accounting firm. What is a finance major doing in a CPA firm? So basically what happens, and I did not know this, but on the privately held business side, and actually if you go into the Big Four, there is a transaction advisory services build out. The Deloittes and the Price Waterhouses have these large, they consult on some of these large IPOs. So, what I did on a smaller scale is I joined the valuation group, and what I did is I helped a partner who was trying to build out his business in the valuation. So we did buy-sell agreements, mergers, acquisitions, estate kits, tax planning, things of that nature. From there, the opportunity arose. I met a guy, and Mike was working at the bank at the time. The old team leader, and he said, we'd like to have you as a credit analyst. We need you to move to Pittsburgh and join the credit group and do some work down there before you become a member. I said, hey, I'm willing to do whatever I can to get down this career path. So yeah, sign me up. So I did that for a year, and then I came back, and I've been a lender for 3 years now, and here I am standing in front of you. So it's a pleasure. It's an honor. Thank you so much. Mike.
So I'll be maybe a little
Shorter.
Okay.
We got an
I
hour
imagine
turn.
that's true. We have an hour turn. Brandon gets paid to talk for a living, so I'm also a Erie native. Happy to a certain degree to be in town, but I'm leaving Saturday to go somewhere a lot warmer. So I was at Penn State, Maine.
You're losing the bone.
He didn't sign it though.
Yeah.
He didn't sign it.
I gotta go to my meeting now. Sorry.
Kick them out.
So I was a Penn State Maine guy. Decided I was, so I'm a true finance mind. At least that's what I thought. And the deal I had with my parents was they were going to pay 2 years. They didn't tell me how many credits I could take or if I could go year round. So I decided I was going to go year round. I was going to jam as many credits in as I humanly could. So they footed the bill for as much as possible. I made what I think to this day is the biggest mistake of my life. I finished in 3 years. So I left basically the entire portion where I would have been 21 off the table. So I had already finished and was out in the working world rather than have that fourth year of fun. I'd advised for 4 years, not longer, but 3 is enough.
I actually had somebody tell me, if you leave college in less than 5 years, it's like leaving the party at 10 o'clock.
Quality advice.
Yeah, don't take that.
Don't do that. After school, I joined what was at the time National City. I spent 5 years in the retail bank there, which is basically the bricks and mortar, customer facing, helping people with lending, deposit type stuff. Not the path that I thought I would take, but staying flexible to kind of Brandon's point. The one thing you'll probably hear from us repeatedly is stay really flexible in your objective. When I entered the market, the job market, it was okay. It wasn't great. The deal that I was able to cut with National City at the time was, hey, I'll start in a group that I didn't really want to start in, as long as you're willing to start paying for me to go to grad school. So I came here in the evenings, even started working in Warren, Pennsylvania. Anybody from out that way? Okay, one. It's really beautiful. It's not really great as a single 22-year-old guy, but it is great. But so if you're flexible, I was able to get to school where I wanted to get to and not on my own dime, which was pretty cool. National City took a downturn to the point where they were forcibly sold to PNC. So the government came in, said, you're bought up by PNC based on where you go to work this morning, you're now an employee of PNC. I left PNC and joined First Niagara about 5 years ago. I joined in Pittsburgh, joined in a similar capacity to Brandon and their credit group. Basically, I pushed through spreadsheets 8 or 10 or more hours a day, not really seeing the light of the world too much, but it was a means to an end. I knew that I wanted to be client-facing at some point, and this was sort of a means to get there. Did that for a year. I've been back in Erie about 4.5 years. I have a portfolio of middle market clients, and I also manage the team, which consists of about 3 lenders, somebody in treasury management, our wealth management group, and our retail group, sort of all dotted line report up to me in some capacity. So there's another example of, hey, if you stay willing to try something that you weren't initially going to try, with a means to where you want to go, usually opens up doors. So let's buzz around the room. And I was also an adjunct for 3 years, and I always found it entertaining and thoughts to figure out the minds of our group. So tell us who you are, how old you are, what year you are rather, kind of why you're here, and tell me if you won the Powerball tonight. It's drawn tonight. It is drawn tonight. If you won the Powerball tonight, what's the first thing you do?
Ooh. My name's Brandon Exley. I'm a junior finance major, and if I won the Powerball tonight, I'd probably travel the world, and I might finish school first, but I'd probably was that it?
Why? So actually, rather than why are you here, when somebody tell me when someone tells you, hey, I took a career in banking, what is that?
Like what I think.
So if somebody that graduated last year comes back and says, hey, I took a career in banking, what are they doing?
I mean, I guess it would depend on what they're doing.
Yeah, what is that? What do you think they're doing? They said, hey, I'm a banker.
I would probably ask questions to find out what they were actually doing.
We'll accept it. Move on.
My name is Thomas Matzis. I'm a freshman. If I win the Powerball tonight, I'm thinking about it and I'll decide next morning what I'll do with the money. And somebody told me that they had a career in banking. I'll assume that they probably want to make money. I want to do well. They want to live well.
I'm Andrew Dulesky. I'm a junior finance major, and if I won the Powerball, I'd probably buy a plane.
A plane in mind.
No, just that and a pilot, you know.
I'm Corey Phillips. I'm also a junior finance major. I'm looking towards becoming like a financial advisor right now. And if I won the Powerball tonight, I would definitely drum up all of like my close friends tonight and have a fun night because I think it's appropriate for this due to the circumstances. But I would definitely get together like a good plan with what I want to do with my money, make sure I'm set for the rest of my life in case different entrepreneurial things would fail, you know. So I'd have to plan it out for a while, but it would be a great experience. Hopefully it can happen.
Joshua Clear, 28, a senior. Really into quantitative finance, analysis, anything with numbers for analytics, and I love. Oh, in the Powerball, I really wouldn't change a thing. Right where I want to be and what I want to do. I would just, have nicer vacations.
My name is Maxwell from junior international business and finance major. And if I won the Powerball tonight, I'd probably move out of Pennsylvania and save a lot of time. I'm just spending it right away.
My name's Wes. I'm a sophomore. What's Powerball at? How much money are we talking?
So I think it's like 80. So if you go net, take cash and pull the taxes out, you're probably going to that might be high. I think like 35, 40.
35, 40.
I
I go
don't
on
consider
friend.
this at all.
All my friends, I'd go to Vegas. I'd spend at least $2 million on a huge suite. I got 35. Like, I want to have fun. You got to celebrate. Like, so I do Vegas.
$2 million.
I would do like the, that Seattle, the huge tower where you jump off and you're tethered to it. Yeah. I'd say, all my friends, you got to do this if you want to come with me. So that's my plan.
I'm Drew, junior, finance major. Currently looking to get an internship because last week I had an internship that was on. This is probably like November, and she said this is something I want to do. And I have some friends that work for First Niagara, so
Who's that?
Continental.
Oh my God.
Yeah, all right, let's move on.
Yeah.
I went to grade school.
Oh, God.
So if you're looking for dirt, I got
Black Bellman.
Yeah. But no, if I won the Powerball, I mean, you gotta celebrate. You gotta live in the moment. But then again, probably the next moment, I like sleeping the night on it. You just gotta sleep the first night.
So just change your phone number too.
Oh,
Everybody in here be blowing you up.
definitely. But I think probably First thing I would want to do is get on the phone with a really good broker.
Yeah.
My name is Luis. I'm a first year mechanical engineering student. If I won the Fireball, I would probably save, save the money and try to see how I could generate more money. I wouldn't spend it all the first day. I kind of think about how to multiply it.
Conservative approach.
Yeah.
I'm Aaron Philbeck. I'm a graduating senior, starting up the Joseph Group as an investment analyst in July. If I won the Powerball, I'd probably put it in the savings account with me more. So,
I'm Zach Stickle, I'm a senior, but I got one extra semester. My finance major, but finance minor. But if I won the Powerball, I also pay off my student loans, make sure my family's taken care of. You know, one thing I'd love to do is figure out a way to create more jobs in here, because, you know, a lot of people talk about it being a mining city, but I think at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity here, so.
Well said.
I'm Tyler Blizz. I'm a senior, but like Zach, I had to one extra semester to do. I'm an accounting and finance major. And if I won the Powerball, I'd probably buy a nice car and do my junker.
I'm Rich Smith. I'm senior finance major. And if I won Powerball, I'd travel to Europe for a month.
Yeah.
I'm old. I started my career in business as a credit analyst. Never made it. Excuse me, never made it to be a lender. I went back and got my MBA. Went into the investment side of money. It's not, and I'm a professor here. Students have that. Yeah, I'm old, but if I won the Powerball, Vegas. Yeah. And then I'd buy a jet. And then I'd buy 3 houses. One in Austin, Texas, one in San Diego, and one in Hawaii. Hopefully I'd still have some space with Jeff.
What are you doing with your Powerball?
You know, just travel. Yeah, I think I'd travel. And I no offense to you, sir,
You go.
the next day.
No offense taken. No, I said I would buy the finest piece of Italian artwork ever made. That's a '99 Ferrari 350. So we don't want to spend a lot of time talking about who we work for, but I think it's important to understand kind of the scope within banking, right? So the United States has somewhere in the vicinity of 4,000 to 6,000 banks. It's a lot. It's a lot more than what you'd find in other significant sized countries, right? Most other world power type countries have maybe a dozen or so banks. We're unique in that we have a ton. This isn't on the slide. This is just what's in my head. So hang on. So we have a ton of banks in the country. So it's unique in the fact that you could go down and you can talk to a Marquette that's a local Erie bank that knows the market really well. It's going to fit for some people's career choices. Other people are going to want to work at one of the major director Bank of America, your Citigroup. You probably traditionally think of it as a bank. Maybe 2 very, very different career paths. First Niagara sits somewhere in the middle of those 2. We're about the 25th largest in the country, about $40 billion in assets. So 40 billion sounds like a big number. We're about 25th largest. When you move up the food chain a little bit to like a food chain, at least in terms of size, and look at maybe a PNC, you're going to be several $100 billion. And then the big ones, if you will, the Bank of America, the Wells, they're significantly larger than that. Completely different profile. So part of what you want to do long term would be appropriate in figuring out where do I want to go from work. Right? If you want to work at a highly sophisticated international trading desk, you're going to have specific employers that meet that and some that don't. So our particular bank, we do some FX, some international work, reasonably well built out, but maybe not as sophisticated as the Bank of America. However, if you're looking for a bank that you can come into and provide at an early stage guidance, direction, and your thoughts that are probably going to be taken with some degree of seriousness and a decision made based upon that. The likelihood of that happening at an organization that's our size, a lot more likely than it is at Wells or B of A, where you're going to shove some numbers into a spreadsheet, spit out, and somebody else is going to grab it and use it.
Yeah, like PNC.
Partially. The other component of that is, so National City and PNC were the effective equivalents of the Browns and the Steelers. And there's nothing wrong with either team. But when you play for one and you literally only fight the other one all day, every day, making that conversion is a little bit tough. One of the things I appreciate about our bank is when Brandon finds a company he wants to work with, he brings it to me. If we agree on it, we talk to one guy, and we've got a deal. We don't have to go through this big, long process of convincing 8 or 10 or 12 people that it's the right thing to do. We know the market. Your local market knowledge is important at an organization. Big, huge ones, maybe not quite as much. Now, you want to go build a $500 million skyscraper? I'm not your guy. We just don't do it. Different banks are good for different things and fit different needs. Answer your question? Yeah. Cool. So we have call it 40 billion, 38 billion in assets, 28 billion on deposit. Chunk of loans outstanding. There's some other information on there relative to our ratings, bond ratings, things like that. If you're interested in that type of stuff, shoot me an email, talk more, but for tonight's purposes, probably not exactly what we're after.
We seem to be. So if I were to sum up the banking industry, sorry, I moved on.
That's all right.
If I were to sum up the banking industry right now, I'm sure you've all heard it, it's challenging. In one word, it's challenging. And I think if you asked our CEO, it would say the same thing. He actually did say the same thing. 14 was tough. I mean, as long as I've been in banking for the past 4 years, it's been tough. And it's been tough because of the low rate environment. So basically, how do we make money? Well, we make money by making loans. Everybody knows that. We take deposits in and buy money, and then we lend it at a spread that's greater than what we pay for it. We make that as income. We also make it on fees. I didn't put fees.
You can't draw on that. No. Markers, that's a no-go.
And then also, we take the money, you have excess capital, and you invest in it. Well, the rates at which you're investing in, and the bank's able to invest in it, are not even halved. I mean, it went from 5% of that fund rate at one point, I think in 06, 07 timeframe, to 25 basis points. So we went from taking $1,000, you make 50, the bank would make $50. That same $1,000 today, you make $250. So you have one side of the equation that's making a ton of money, well, I mean, and then not enough, but you're making a lot on the deposits, that's happening, and then all you have is the loans and then fees from ancillary services. So low short-term interest rates creates a challenging earning environment. So what does that do? That increases the market of banks that say, okay, well, how are we going to drive earnings? We got to make street expectations. We got to make loans. Well, 6,000 other banks are saying, we got to make loans. So what does that do? You have a glut of money that's willing to be lent out in the market, and you have spreads, which we would typically lend at, I don't know what it was 10 years ago, but if we'd like to be at 3, you have some of the highly sought after companies that competitive pressure has put the spread down less than 2. Sometimes it's less than 1.
So we're making maybe less than 1% on
big loans.
On huge loans that are really sought after. To put that in perspective, and we write a loan, it's our loan from the day we write it to the day it pays to zero, or the day I have to charge it off. If I charge off $1 million, how much do I have to have in performing loans, paying loans, good loans, just to break even?
I think it's that. So if you have $1 million, you have to write off $1 million. How much do you think you have to put in production on the books to make up for that deal?
Gonna put between $50 and $100 million.
15.
Just to break.
That is a lot, especially even in a market like Pittsburgh. It's a lot. I mean, that's just to break even for that one. So like I said,
Can you explain that? Like, wait, you're saying if you need to pay off $1 million?
So if we charge off, we write a loan to somebody and we write them a loan for $2 million and they're only able to pay us back $1 million. I have to write off that $1 million loss. I need to have other people that are paying me on somewhere between $50 and $100 million just to get back to flush. So, because I'm making maybe between 1% to 2% on that portfolio, and that just gets me back to flush.
I got you.
So we've got the reason Brandon says it's so challenging right now. You've got a bunch of people chasing a smaller amount of loan for the loan demand, so that's shrinking our margin, lower spread, and I still can't write it off. You still have to make sure that your asset quality, your loan quality is good. So some of the underwriting that you've probably done in class, credit analysis, it's ours. One of the things that we do is make sure that we're not taking in bad loans. At least we do our best to do it. If you look at banks' P&Ls, if you look at their reporting, quarterly reporting, they're going to have a loan loss reserve. They're going to add to that every single quarter. That loan loss reserve is exactly that. What are we charging off?
Look, can you make money off of that? Well, because I get stuff in the mail all the time, like no credit, no problem. It's just like car dealership, but why would a car dealership want?
They're not charging the rates that they're at. So it's a different profile.
Okay.
And so we're going to maybe make, if our portfolio averages a 2% type of spread, those guys are going to average more like 15.
Oh, it's higher.
So they're going to make a lot more.
risk reward.
Right.
Higher risk profile.
It's merely that. Right?
Absolutely. So you can, that's just kind of a brief synopsis of the industry. So if you have somebody, it's not to say that, we were very lucky that we had a pretty pristine portfolio through the acquisition, still do. So we haven't really been hit too hard by the economic environment and things that take place, but we've been hit. Most likely, some of the graduates are probably not getting into the finance industry because there's just not a lot of money. But I'm here to tell you, it's a great career path. And definitely, if you want to flip to the next one, I'll give you a little bit about what I do. So, what does a commercial bank relationship manager even mean? It means, if I could sum it, jack of all trades. That's kind of what a master of none means. But first and foremost, I'm an advisor to my clients. They ask me, what do you think of this? Should I buy this piece of equipment? How do I optimize my balance sheet? Should I buy this company? And you're an advisor just like a CPA, just like an attorney, anybody. You all come together. It's a big team, but as an advisor, you quarterback the relationship from bank to bank. So my main goal, it depends on the year, but a lot of it goes from lending to deposit gathering. So I do a lot of lending, CapEx, working capital lines, there's leverage buyout, anything like that. We just did an acquisition. We didn't do the acquisition. The private equity firm did an acquisition, and then I provided their working capital line for them. Nice pharmaceutical. So, treasury management, I make the introduction. We have a great treasury management officer that's been with Penn for about 13 years. But basically, all we're doing is I set up the conversation. How do you collect? How do you store? How do you disperse? How do you protect your deposits? Risk management, not a lot of people know this, but at the bank, we're a huge insurance broker. We do anything from casualty and product liability all the way to employee benefit programs, which is mind-boggling to me, but we actually do. We'll go in, we'll set up the plan, from deductible limits to how you want to take care of your employees. On the other side, there's investment management / private banking. Again, what I do, I make the introduction. We have investment managers and then also private bankers that do some of the high net worth individuals. Also, you have some of these mature companies, larger companies that are going to have an excess of cash. If they can't get a return that they want in the business, they're going to want to invest in the market and instead of letting it sit on the side. Right now, it's making literally. And then also, as Mike alluded to, we do some hedging. I set up a conversation with our FX expert. On my side, a lot of the companies that I deal with do a lot of international business. They're selling to China, they're selling to Canada. But with that, they require that they be paid in USD. So, I mean, there's not much hedging in that. But above all else, what I do is I'm a revenue generator for the bank. And if you ask Mike what I should be doing, I shouldn't be in the office. You can spend all day in the office crunching numbers and trying to keep track of your portfolio. But at the end of the day, what I do is I drive revenue for the organization. What that allows me to do is a lot of cool stuff. I get to get out, I get to network, I get to play a lot of golf. It's not bad. Yes, all client related. You go to dinner, you take clients out. So, is the term relationship.
So you're in the field like a lot, but.
Yeah. If you ask Mike, if you asked him, how often do you want?
Never.
Exactly.
So you're
Never in the office.
10% in the office usually.
That would be ideal.
That would be
That's
ideal.
not the case.
Yeah.
So our regulatory burdens are pretty immense. But if we are doing our job really, really, really well and have back office staff that's really good, we'd be spending very little of our time in the office. What every year when you sit down with your boss, hey, how am I doing? It's how many dollars came through the front door and how many were responsible because of you, and how many came because of you. It's out finding clients, growing the existing portfolio, getting things in the client's hands that they didn't have before. So if you look at this list, I'm sure, so when you think bank, right, you think loans, right? What does this guy do? This guy lends money. These things down here, this, and this, we like those for a reason. Any idea why?
Generates revenue.
What kind of revenue? You can't lose revenue. If I issue a loan, that might go bad. But if I make money on investment management, on hedging, on risk management, I can't lose money. It's fee revenue. It's non-risk revenue. Otherwise, every asset I put out the door, I'm chasing it every single month. Did that payment get made? Is life good? Are they current? Are they in default? Is the thing risk rated appropriately? But depending on the risk scope of the business, we have to reserve a different amount of capital to it. The riskier the loan, the more capital I have to reserve. Means I better charge them more because I'm not making as much. We do these other things because our clients need them and it's the right thing to do. But if you look at and read huge documents, if you read a quarterly or annual report for a bank, they're all going to talk about how many percent of their income comes from fees. It's income they know they're going to make. It's not risk-based income. I just want to talk to Brandon's jack of all trades. So one of the things my wife will tell you is I have an extremely short attention span. They had one point told me you're like a small kid. You need moving colors and sounds and things going on. One of the beautiful things about what we do is we're out all the time. And in one day, I'll go from talking to a biodiesel manufacturer to somebody that has 40 Burger King locations. We see everybody under the sun. We know a little bit about everything. We'll talk to a plastic injection guy that probably had some research done here or knew somebody here, hired a graduate here. We see a little bit of everything. Part of what you have to be good about or what you have to be interested in is I need to be willing to learn about ferrous and non-ferrous metal. What's the difference? Why do I care? I need to be willing to understand, hey, biodiesel is a really interesting industry, but it's also driven a lot by taxes and by the government. So if I'm going to lend into it, I better understand what the tax policy and things are that are going on at the federal level. Otherwise, I might have a loss on money. So are you willing to continue to learn and follow your business? All right.
That was awesome.
All right. Any other questions? Yes.
Is more money made through lending or through the non-loss revenue generation?
So it depends on the banks that you look at. The larger and larger institutions that you look at are going to be closer to a 50-50 blend of that because they'll have more business in things like foreign exchange, hedging, interest, private banking, investment management. They'll have more sophisticated platforms there. They'll be closer to 50-50. Most banks are going to be less than that. They'll be more geared towards interest income, the risk-based income, if you will, just sort of the nature of what it is. Yes.
What is your, just out of curiosity, what is the lowest percent capital required for, say, your highest credit?
Um,
What do you have, what do you reserve on cash? Cash, maybe
1.5%. That's a guess.
it's always.
Yeah. It's a good question. We can circle with you.
So
After the fact.
yeah, we've been looking at it recently, and I see between capital ratios between 10 and 13%. These are
Yeah, so that would be holistic on the entire portfolio. So if we look and we say we have a risk rating scale of 1 to 8, 1 effectively cash, not effectively, 1 cash secured, and 8 we're about to charge it off. Consider the weighted average, you're probably going to be in the 3s somewhere, and that would get you to a 10 or 12. That would be a good estimate of how you arrive at it. So what you're looking at for a 1 rated credit is marginal. An 8 rated, 6, 7, 8 rated is going to be a huge percent.
You're not going to make money.
Right. Yeah. When loans hit non-performing, where they're in default in some capacity or another, we can't charge them a high enough rate.
Oh, go ahead. How much discretion do you have over those risk ratings, and how much of that is the backroom staff or just regulatory guidance?
There's limited discretion in that. So there's, in our policies, there are guidelines as to where does it fit on these matrices, and if it check marks these boxes, it yields probably this result. Probably this result meaning you can only quantify so many things. So it produces X amount in cash flow. The balance sheet leverage is this particular ratio. All the things that you're calculating yield a number. In my experience, sometimes those numbers will be moved to a more risky bucket based on things that aren't necessarily quantifiable, maybe like customer concentration. So you have GE in town. A lot of the businesses we work with sell a lot to GE. Well, how much do you want to sell to GE? 10%? Okay, that's fine. 90%? It's a little riskier. So even though things are going really well and they might be in a good bucket, because of that cost of customer concentration, we might consider them one lower.
So it's an art, along with
Yeah,
much of finance is art.
Yeah.
There is science, but it is.
Very true. Any other questions?
You want to take that? Yeah. Career paths and bank. So you have your typical commercial lending, which is Mike and I do. There's capital markets. So you get to some of the larger deals, you're going to have what's called a syndication. So syndication is we're allowed, we can take so much of the loan on to our balance sheet. Meaning, if somebody wants to borrow $100 million, we're probably not going to take all that. So what we'll do is we'll go out, we'll market it. A number of different, sometimes hedge funds will buy it. They'll buy pieces of the debt. And most 9 times out of 10, it's for a bank our size, it's going to be other banks. You go out to market and say, hey, this is what the deal looks like, do you want it? Now, you can be the lead or a participant. That's getting into a little more detail, but the lead, you get all the grade, you get the fee revenue, and that participant, basically just whatever piece you buy, you're collecting the interest rate. You have international, as we talked about, you can do a number of different things. Whether, currency, there's commodities. There's also a derivative group. We do a lot of interest rate swaps. Now, there's been with the consumer financial protection laws that have come out, you have to be an ECP to be able to enter into a swap contract. A lot of times, something, if we're doing a loan over $1.2 million term, you're going to do a derivative. You're going to offer them. You're going to say, hey, you can float the rate and take that risk on. You pay a little less. because you're taking that interest rate risk, or you can hedge it with an interest rate swap. You know, we have guys that sit back there and execute the trades, and do the measured credit risk.
It'll be the non-weighted day.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. You're grinding in front of a Bloomberg. You have treasury management, as we said, it's how do you collect, how do you store, how do you disperse, and how do you protect your deposits. Now, for a small organization, it's very simple. For a large organization, it can become incredibly complex. You can take depending on where you want to be, if you want to get in with the small companies, you can do that. If you want to go to a large organization, do some very complex things as far as investing. Yeah, financial planning and analysis. This is part of, they fall under the CFO. And basically, they do all it's a financial analyst position with corporate. So they do all they look at us and tell us, hey, you got an average of this outstanding, create reports for the executive leadership. Private client services, you can go into investment management, private banking, dealing with high net worth individuals. You can work as an analyst there. And then obviously, if you want to get to a sales role, you can get to a sales role in that as well. And then also where Mike started on the retail side, when you're doing home mortgages. That is basically commercial banking in a nutshell. There's got to be a bunch of questions.
So while you're thinking over the first question is always the scariest for some reason. My gut of banking when I was in your seat was, what I knew of the bank was what's on the corner that I walked into. And you talk to somebody and they take your money, they give you money. That's sort of what it was. The other alternative was go be an investment banker, work 100 hours a week in New York, probably after the time of your life, for the 6 hours you're actually off on the weekend, which I've had friends do. Nothing, there's nothing wrong with that career path. That wasn't the career path for me. Make a pile of money doing it, learn a lot, but you're kind of theirs for the first few years. Interesting to see a lot of things. The reality is there's a lot between those two, between the brick and mortar on the corner and kind of the Wall Street investment banker. One thing that I would reiterate to you is if you're open-minded, like so many places, you're probably not going to step in and say, all right, here's what I want to do. Here's my dream job. Give it to me. I'm going to start doing that today. And you're going to go through a couple things along the way. And a lot of times it's, hey, are you willing to figure this out? Try it, do it. When I started in an underwriting position, probably the same way, I got handed a deal and they said, underwrite this. Never underwritten a deal before. I know what financial statements look like. Basically know what they mean. But at the end of the day, this guy wants you to tell him if we should lend these people money. So figure it out. You bang your head up against the wall a couple times. 2 is usually the right number. And you go and find help. You know what? Hey, I tried it this way and this way. I'm willing to learn. But this is kind of where I'm at. Can you give me some direction? So try hard a second time, and don't be afraid to ask somebody. The expectation is that you're going to get in somewhere and know everything. You won't ever. And if you do, you're probably doing something wrong. We learn all day, every day. It's a constant learning process. Every transaction is different. You just completed one. We had a call a month after the fact and said, all right, what did we do wrong along the way so we can learn for next time? We lent somebody money, line of credit. We did funded in 3 different currencies and based on two different rate bases. We did LIBOR-based rates, which you may be familiar with that term, and a prime-based rate. We also did loans in several different currencies. Okay, that's a little bit abnormal. It all sort of happened at once. Let's figure out what we did so next time we move ahead. What kind of thoughts do you guys have?
Are there any kind of certifications or extra training you think are useful in your job?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it really is kind of so you're going to get a lot. So for me, it's not a requirement. A big thing that a lot of my counterparts have is their MBA. But you can go, a lot of times, some folks will go and work a few years and then go to their MBA. If you want to work in capital markets, especially in derivatives or anything like that, a lot of the guys and girls who work in that have a CFA. Along with if you work in private client services, if you're going to do investment management, you're going to want to get your CFA. And then also private client services, there's also financial planners. So CFP is also, but I'm sure your professor can tell you, it's the big, it's the CFP, it's the CFA, MBA, if you want to continue on. You're still doing the 4+1? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There you go. For a small fee, they'd be happy to have you back for another year.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say there's one that broadly is applicable across everything. It's what you want to do. There's deeper knowledge that you can gain in your field. There's a certification within treasury management that guys that they get into the business, they figure out that's what they want to do, they do it for a few years, and then they study concurrent with it. In that regard, an MBA I think is pretty applicable across whatever it is, right? If it's banking or accounting or marketing or finance, it's going to be applicable across all. What I would say is that in the role that we sit in today, what we do is not putting rockets into outer space. It's not that level math. It's a job that we say everyone can do, but not everybody can do. Most people fail at doing it, primarily because they don't have a complete round scope of skills. They tend to, relationship managers, lenders in general tend to be pretty good at most things. They're not the guys that are working at the derivative desks making complex spreadsheets that are going to tell you kind of the future forecast of oil prices, right? They're not that kind of mind usually. They're usually a mind that can sit down with somebody, figure out what they're trying to accomplish, where the business is trying to go, identify the risks that are contained within it, and make a reasonable somewhat common sense decision on what we should do. Good news is in our roles, we've got support from those people that are more technically driven. It's not to say that Brandon can't. He could. I know he did business valuation for a while. He has the technical skills. I probably do as well. I haven't used them quite that extensively in a while. But in our position, the client-facing positions, those technical skills are not as heavily weighted as the interpersonal skills would be. You can underwrite the heck out of a loan, but not find one. It doesn't really.
Yeah, and it's basically what you want to do. I think it's probably a good segue into the next slide. And basically, the next slide is just kind of advice and things that we learned. Yeah, okay, your things we learned along the way. Like I said, I'm not old. I don't feel old. My wife tells me I'm going gray, but I guess that's kind of part. As long as I still have it, I'll take the gray. So, you have juniors and seniors. I remember sitting there thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? My biggest piece of advice for you is find your passion. Figure it out. Do whatever you got to do to figure out what your passion is. Do not chase the money. Don't chase the money. Your first job should be about experience. Think in terms of 3 years. You're going to say, crazy. What are you doing? I got school loans. I got a girlfriend who likes expensive purses. I want to buy a car. You really, at the end of the day, people, I know it's cliche to say, but money does not buy happiness. It really doesn't. My previous team leader told me, he said, Brandon, you can make all the money in the world, but you still have the same problem. And that is so true. He said, the only thing a bigger paycheck is going to buy you, it's going to buy you a bigger piece of money. And that's it. He said, you're still going to have the problems that you got to deal with every day. So, like Mike said, you're going to have classmates that are going to get out of here and they're going to get fantastic offers from enormous companies. And you're going to think, is it me? It's not you. Especially now, it's not the easiest job market. It wasn't when I graduated, it's still not. And for the foreseeable future, it looks to be getting better, but not at the pace that obviously. So seek opportunity from anywhere you can find it. even if you're, is probably bad, sweeping floors, we have customers that start, they're the CEO of, a large middle market organization. And not kidding, you started sweeping the floors. But you know what? They were the best floor sweeper for that year and a half. And then somebody noticed them and they said, you know what? He's a hard worker. We think he would be good here. And that's what it's basically all about. You gotta learn, another one thing I learned in bars when I was in college, you gotta learn how to lose. You ask out 10 girls and do 11 fights. But it is that's my attempt at humor.
Generous,
Yeah.
it was only 11.
Yeah. One thing you'll find in our office, we're definitely very light, so that was my attempt. Well, learn how to lose. You're gonna fall down. You go. Life is you're gonna go. You get first kindergarten, 5th grade, the man in 5th grade, right? And then you get the 6th grade, and you're back to the bottom. And then you get the 8th grade, the 9th grade, you're back to the bottom. Same thing. So you're gonna get out of here, and you're gonna be like, man, I'm crushing my 4.0, crushing my capstone courses. I'm done. I'm out of here. And then you get in, and you're like, whoa, this is, how do these people know all this stuff? It's crazy. You look in, we have our Western Pennsylvania regional president. He's also a Penn State grad, and he also has 2 national championship rings for Penn State. He played 82, and he was a grad assistant in 1986. One of the most brilliant men there is. And you're constantly going to be humbled throughout your career. So you got to be able to take the bad experiences and see the positive. As I started, so here's the story. I'm a senior. I'm looking for a job. And a professor took an interest in me and decided to help me out. Dr. Philbeck. I started at the Joseph Group, which is a phenomenal opportunity. I love it. I had, so I moved to Columbus, and my father was sick. I knew he was sick. I didn't know how sick he was. And he passed away. And it threw me, life is going to take you in so many weird spots. You think it's like this, and it's like this. But, so you start to have to weigh things and say, oh my, this is a terrible situation. So I had to make a decision. Do I stay or do I go? I'm an only child. My parents are divorced. I had to back up as a state. So I came home, I took a job. Like I said, I took a job at the CPA firm doing evaluation. What I didn't know is that, what it would do is it was lead, my experience there led to an opportunity to join the bank. And now I'm in a place where I enjoy coming to work every day. It's what I want to do. I get to talk to people. It's what I like to do. I enjoy grinding on a spreadsheet as much as everyone here. But at the end of the day, when you do it for 80 hours, I learned it's not exactly what I want to talk. It's fun. I like to talk. I probably talk too much. But it is what it is. So always try and find, there's a positive in everything. There's a positive in everything. I don't know if you knew it, but computers are the next big thing. I had a professor here, her name, I don't know if she's still teaching, Dr. Nose. She said, business majors, get a minor in IT. Get a minor in anything, learn how to code, do it. And I said, oh wait, that's crazy. It is becoming more and more ingrained in our society, and it's incredibly integrated in everything you do. If you know how to code, if you know how to do complex spreadsheets, that's something you want to do, and upon payable, take the classes. It's going to benefit you so much, and you'll be able to be an asset. It's all about, when you're looking for a job, it's about value. It's always about value. When I go out and I speak to somebody, it's about value. What kind of value do I bring? What value do you bring? You're thinking, I'm a senior. You bring value. Because, look, I don't know much now. I can't really bring, I'm going to be a cost center for you. But what I can say is I'm going to work my butt off. And I'm going to get to the point of being able to drive revenue for the organization and whatever it is. So part of the value you have is you say, hey, look, I got a minor in IT. I can help make the models for, you know, the analysts or whatever. So it's always about bringing value and making someone. What?
So you guys do about that?
About now.
So the one thing that I would, one last thought as Brandon was talking, when I'm making hiring decisions, I'm gonna hire drive, passion, and initiative way before I hire somebody that has some last bullet point skill. And so when I'm hiring, I'm gonna hire a guy that wants to work really hard, that's proven they'll work really hard, and will try. Yeah, I'll learn that. Yeah, I'll give that a go. And somebody that maybe has 10 years worth of experience in the field. So if you can demonstrate, what I would try and demonstrate is, yeah, I'm passionate. Here's what I've done to show that. And here's why I'll work. Here's why I'll work hard. And why I'm looking for it.
It's like I said at the beginning, I don't want to take too much time, but I will say, I brought a bunch of business cards. Please call me, email me. Anything I can do to help you out, I will definitely. If you want to send a resume to our capital markets group, I don't know if they're hiring, but guess what? I can say, look, you graduated from Penn State, he's got a great education. She's a hard worker, passed on. That's what it takes in life. It's all about building your network and being able to you got to know people, unfortunately, to help you get through it. And, anything I can do, please ask. I'll do everything in my power to help you. Because some people want to help you.
Thought questions, guys? No? Cool.
Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, World Campus and other campus teams for tuning in. Or in the future, if you're watching the video, thank you for watching our video. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure. I apologize for walking around.
No, it wasn't a problem at all. It kept me going too, so it was fun.